Shalom, Sister Ebony.
And Sister T.
Welcome to the Rock Fireside Chat. No.
Right.
Women's Fireside Chat. We are just sitting here, finishing up some of dinner and seasoning some cast irons and some cookies. Have a little tea.
Right.
Have a little. But we just wanted to do a little different. Bring y'all in on a discussion. Have a discussion with y'all. Did you wanna?
Yeah. So, we already kind of started this discussion. You know, me and Ebony, our master discussed it a little bit with us, and we wanted to take it a little further. And it's about just like we were just talking about how things have changed so much since feminism. You know, feminism came in, and how women now, like how we don't even know anymore how it is to be wives, because we've been trained to be the career-minded woman, the college-going woman. And we were just discussing how, like, in marriage, most of us are lost. Like, we're lost. We don't know exactly what the man wants. We don't know how to perform those duties. And you know that we probably don't take the time out to study, to seek out how to do those duties to the same level and capacity we do when we go to school and go to college, when we have a career on our mind. And this is for a lot of women too that mostly are career minded, because some people, you know, they even lollygag in college, but those people who are really serious about college and becoming nurses and doctors and, you know, school teachers, whatever, like, in order to prepare to become a nurse, for instance, and I know because I was taking nursing and playing sports, and I ended up choosing sports over nursing. But however, in sports, when I started the prereqs for nursing, you have to take all these other courses before you even get really into your hands in the field. And one of them is anatomy and physiology. And anybody learning about the body, anatomy and physiology, part 1, part 2, part 3, however many parts, you know, there's a lot of parts. You got to remember all these body parts and bones and functions and stuff. Like, anatomy and physiology is an intense course, because you have to spend a lot of time. You can't lollygag and just make your way through that class and pass it. And if you are very serious about what you're trying to do, you're going to take time to study. You have to, or else you ain't going to make it. And so we were discussing about, like, how we're just backwards. Like, when the Bible says that things are backwards, or the things have been turned upside down, like, we're watching it. We're watching things get turned upside down and how backwards we are. Like, we're clueless in marriage, but we'll do anything and everything it takes to go to college and to get this degree and do all of that. And then when we learn, like, we want to be married, the effort is not the same. You spend late night hours getting 3 hours of sleep day in and day out for your career. Before marriage, you ain't gonna spend no 3 hours getting sleep so you can study what your husband wants and what he desires and how you're gonna give it to him. Like, we don't do that. We're trained so backwards. And so that's what we were over here discussing, and you know how sad it is and how all of us have been affected by it. It's a sad thing that we don't know how to do that. And then one other thing we're talking about is, then if we fail an exam, or we fail or don't get a good grade on our quiz or exams or whatever, like, we're heartbroken. But if we're dedicated to going into that field, we're going to keep studying. We may be mad, but we're going to keep studying. In marriage, if people fail and their husband's like, you failed me, we be like, I want a divorce. I'm leaving. We're not working what is it called?
Irreconcilable.
Irreconcilable differences. Why are you divorcing? Irreconcilable differences. Because you didn't tell me I did everything perfectly. Did you even put the effort? No, but you still need to tell me I'm perfect, because I'm here. And because you chose me, you should think everything awesome about me. But you're gaining weight, You don't put no effort in staying in shape. You don't put no effort in combing your hair. You don't put no effort in brushing your teeth. I mean, I hope that's not true, but you know what I mean. But you just want him to just compliment you just for the heck of it. Love me anyway, even though I got 3 times the curves I had when you liked them. You just supposed to love me. And if you tell me that I'm too big and I need to lose weight, I am divorcing you. Like, that's how we treat marriage. There's no real seriousness to it. It's just do what I want you to do, like what I want you to like, compliment me the way I want you to compliment me. Otherwise, we need a divorce because you hurt my feelings. What you guys say about that?
Well, the career minded. I'll say for myself, I was not the career minded. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I mean, that's my experience. Even I went to college just because my mom wanted me, or suggested that I go there because I wanted to actually like go to cosmetology school because I like doing hair and beauty stuff or whatever. But I didn't really want to go to college, so I just chose something, and I did not finish, and racked up a lot of school debt. And didn't necessarily like going to school, so that was my experience. But I'll say when you were bringing that up about the career minded and not career minded women not being able to, sometimes like if they are failing, not necessarily knowing why, or it was something that she was saying earlier too, like not knowing why you're failing or not understanding why, and not understanding, I guess, what the husband is saying that you're failing in, or why he's not happy or whatever. Something came to mind that Master had said about all you need to do is, or the question that you need to ask, or the decision that you need to make is, are you going to live the book, or are you going to do the book? He's like, all the other stuff is, I guess, just extra and there to kind of, it can be, make it confusing. Versus if you just live the book, if you did what the Bible said about what a wife is supposed to do, what a wife is supposed to do, which is submit to the husband, honor and reverence him, be meek and quiet. What else? What is
I mean, there's a lot, but that is the basic, the very ground floor.
Be a pillar of rest.
Pillar of rest. Honor, reverence, and obey, and everything else submission. Is usually submission is all in there, all together. If you can learn what the honor and reverence is, learning that respect that women don't have for men in general, obedience and submission. And be agreeable. That's another thing that the scriptures talk about. And on the Apocrypha it says, there's nothing better than a husband and wife that agree. So learn to agree and stop finding a disagreement in everything, you know.
Now, does that mean, husband and wife agree, does that mean that the wife agrees and the husband agrees?
No. No, not at all. That's what people try to use.
Like, no.
Right. That's what people try to use. What is it? Ephesians. Right before they get to the wives' role, when it's talking about how brother and sister are supposed to talk to each other, it's like, submit yourselves to one another. And women love that verse. They're like, see, the man's supposed to submit to me too. And you clearly said when it gets to the wives, it specifically is so specific to say, wives, submit yourself And when it gets to husbands, you don't see nothing there to say, husband, submit yourself also. It just say, wives, submit yourself to your husband. So no, it's not talking about you agree because he agrees with you. It is not talking about that. You agree with him. And just go on like that. Leave it there. You agree with him, and there's nothing better than a husband and wife that agree together. Because as long as that disagreement inside of you is, which is what I've been learning, as long as you have that disagreement internally, even if you don't express it, it's going to always keep a wall between you and that man. There's going to be something there, some sort of wall, brick, something that keeps you two separate in some sort of way. And even the smallest distance can be harmful. Smaller distance equal to bigger distance later on if it doesn't get corrected. So get your tail away, cat.
I'm trying to get my tea.
Right. That's why I got my tea in my hand, my stuff in my hand.
So I don't know, when he was talking about that recently, and he just made a video on it, and I was listening. He played it for us earlier today, and I was like, dang, that's it. It seems so simple that if you just do the book, everything else, the emotions are hard, but it can help you with your emotions, because if you just do what the Bible says, even with say we've been talking about, me and Tanisha did some videos on sisterhood, it can eliminate a lot of stuff with sisterhood too, if you just do what the Bible says about how we're supposed to love our neighbor and how friends are supposed to be, and then how we're supposed to be with our husbands. It will just eliminate a lot of the stuff that we either get emotional about, and then irrational emotions cause us to do stupid things, cause us to not reverence our husband, not submit, cause us to want to leave, leave the marriage for whatever reason, all because we don't want to be humble ourselves and just do what the Bible says about the situation, because our masters always tell us that every situation is in the Bible. And
so I'm not sure if we ever seen, unless you use Jezebel or something like that, I'm not sure if we ever seen a career-minded woman in the Bible. But however, you know that everything that woman does or seeks out, if you're the career-minded or been the career-minded, everything you normally do and seek out has to do with you and what you want and what you're trying to achieve. And a lot of times it has nothing to do with what your master wants, or your master's trying to achieve, using, having you to achieve for the sake of his vision, household, or whatever. It's normally has to do with you, what you want, what you're invested in, what your heart is tied into. You may even say things like, all my life I wanted to do this, you're coming to take it from me. It's like, well, if you're living a biblical life, if that's what you want, then everything is towards your husband, and he's gonna tell you what you can get your hands into and what you can't. Like, not everything me and Ebony do, we do things that has to do with for us vision and stuff, but there's things we like, and not everything that we like we necessarily get to get our hands into. But then there's other things that we like that we do for just for fun, that we are able to get our hands into on, those times that we have a little bit of a free time. I'm calling it free time. Or there's new likes you just learn to like. Like, I wasn't, for instance, into sewing all that much. I got a interest in it before Mary Master, but barely. I haven't really touched nothing. I just was like, oh, I want to sew one day. That's as far as that went. And I think when I asked my grandma, did she have a sewing machine for me to get started? But I never got started. And it was not like I was just so dedicated to it that I had to have it either. But it wasn't until Master expressed his interest in me sewing and told me about his mother and showing me things that were made that piqued my interest even the more so. And what his idea about it. Oh, if we could clothe our children. Just he had all these thoughts and ideas. Then I fell in love with it. Now I got to make myself stay away from the sewing machine so I could do other tasks. Like, otherwise I want to just sit down on the sewing machine. But you just can't just sit there on a sewing machine all day. So, but I didn't like that myself. Like, not, I wasn't in love with it. Rather, I just had a small peak of interest, that I never did anything with until he activated it. And I use that word intentionally. See, the women talking about activating the man. Ain't nobody activating the man. He activating you. He activated that love and passion for, oh, I want to sew. It wasn't me. I didn't activate it. I just showed a small little interest in it. Mm-hmm. So it could be like things like that, And so you will develop other passions and love for things. Just getting on board with what your master's doing. You become more like what he, start to like the things he likes. Like, ooh, this is fun.
So the career-minded woman, she really is all about her, is her career. Her career is all about herself. And the career-minded woman's mindset, it's if they are covered or want to get covered and they don't get rid of that career, that mindset that's really has been all about themselves and what they think and they want to do, then that will cause them to fight against doing what the Bible says. Those simple things as submission and reverencing our husband, because they won't understand why they're not able to get what they want or have what they have to say heard. It's going to be hard for them to understand. It's going to be hard for them to understand the Bible or those concepts.
Yeah, it places a stumbling block on your growth and where you say you're headed toward or what you want. It just gets in the way, and then you keep bumping heads with your career-minded self, and then with the self of you that's trying to learn to submit and obey. They don't run well together. And we're not talking about the people, once again, because sometimes you have to say this. We're not talking about people who have husbands and their husbands want them to go to school and get this degree and use it in this such a way. Like, your husband knows what he can have you do or not, or he'll find out when he have you do it whether it was a good idea or not. Mm-hmm. So we're not talking about those sort of people. We're just talking about the career mindset, and then coming into marriage, how it affects marriage, and just the efforts people put into what a career means to them. And it really just exposes actually the selfishness that's in yourself, because when it comes to what you want, that's what it really shows. And when it comes to something you want bad enough, it will show how much effort you'll put. If you took sleepless nights, night after night after night, I heard of people to get good exam test scores in college. I heard it got so bad that people were taking pills, like stay up pills and stuff like that. Stuff I didn't even hear of. I'm like, what? Like, I've been and fell asleep. But it's because they want to score so high, and it's giving them anxiety because they want this, they want to pass so bad. They want to get the best grades so bad. And it's just like, it just exposes, if you're willing to do all that, can you go to a marriage and give all of that to the marriage too? Or do you have this expectation that the marriage is supposed to serve you, but when it comes to school and career, then suddenly that's when you care about putting effort into things,
And be dedicated, because you'll be dedicated to getting that degree. That you'll go through whatever hoops, whatever you have to go through just like she said, sleepless nights and failures and all that. You'll go through that, but you won't want to. It'll be hard for you to go through it in the marriage.
Yeah, and you'll stick it out. You're gonna stick
Yeah.
it out to completion. But marriages are failing. That, you know, it's so sad. Our master, he's good with the statistics, and he's like, most marriages are failing in 7 years. But really, people of color marriages is barely making it past 2 and 3 years. There's a ton of marriages ain't making it past 2 or 3 years. Period. Everybody that already gave up the towel, threw in the towel. We're done. Got children involved. You don't care. You done. You done got this whole thing established. You're done. 2 or 3 years. Because you dare have to challenge yourself and change. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, that's all we wanted to discuss. Just how when you have the career mindset and how, you know, how we are trained. Mama? How we are trained here, you know, just put every effort into anything but marriage. And you know, we're just talking about that because even we felt at that too. Like, dang, did we really put in all the effort needed? I was asking myself the question that today, actually, as we were talking about it, just a constant reminder, give you something to think about. Are we putting in all our effort into marriage as we put into, think of whatever it is in your life that you ever put effort to? Are we at least giving it that much? Or to start thinking about it that way, like, hey, anything you ever want, you're gonna have to put a lot more effort into it than what you're probably giving it. So we thank y'all for joining this discussion. It was just a little short discussion we wanted to have. Bring y'all in on it. We're out here anyway. We have food cooking. You see these cookies? These cookies, I had one. They're very good. Ebony made them. I'm trying to hijack your cookie. Okay, I'm just kidding. But I do want a cookie though. But anyway, we're making cookies and we're just seasoning the pans. We have to be out here anyway, and it's the perfect time to have this discussion while we're finishing up our chores for the day before we close it down. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you have questions or comments or even want to add to it, put it down in the comment section. I want to hear maybe some points that we didn't think about or didn't discuss. I know there's some things we had spoke on before that we didn't even say in this video because it didn't come to mind. But if y'all have some points or things that you noticed, I mean, put it down in the comment section. We'll love to hear about it.
All right. We hope you have a good day, and we bid you shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.